Hello, all the future OBs out there in the world. We are here with our third live chat with current Oberlin students. We happily welcome your questions via the comment section on the Oberlin blogs, or if you found us via Tumblr, Twitter, or Facebook, feel free to ask questions in those comments as well. And we will feed them on to our delightful panelists who are here today. I am going to mute myself and just let them speak all of the awesome about Oberlin that we could ever have.
All right, guess I'm going first. Hi everyone, I'm Aaron. I'm a third year. I study politics and law, and I live in NOAA, which is a traditional dorm in Oberlin. And I'm a newly hired tour guide, and I'm involved in community service.
So, hi, my name is Alejandro. I am a second year. I am not declared yet, but I intend on double majoring in computer science and sociology. And I am interested in dance, so I do a lot of dance here, as well as I'm a part of student government.
Hey everybody, my name is Alyssa. I'm a fourth year here. I am a Latin American Studies major and a politics minor. I can also talk to you about the Peace and Conflict Studies concentration, which is super cool. I live off campus, although I've lived in program housing all 3 years before this, so I can talk to you about Baldwin, which is the women and transgender dorm, or program housing in general. I also do a lot of community service, like Aaron, and I also do sites, which is teaching Spanish in the elementary school, as well as do interfaith work on campus, so I can talk to you about all those cool things.
All right, hello, my name is Pablo. I'm also fourth year here at Oberlin. I'm a double major in art history and comparative American studies with a minor in gender, sexuality, and feminist studies. I live in a village house, which is a sort of strange thing, which is almost off campus, but the college is my landlord, so it's a kind of mix. I have my own apartment, but I still technically live on campus. And I do a lot of things. I'm heavily involved in SWAP, which is the Oberlin Book Co-op, which I can talk about later. I also do college access tutoring in the local high school. I also lived in the cooperative system for the past 2 years, so that's something that I can talk about as well. So, yeah.
Do you want to start us with Oberlin?
I think anybody can jump in. So our next question is why we chose Oberlin. Does anybody want to go first?
You can start, Alyssa.
Oh boy, okay, since I'm already on the screen. Oh, thanks, Paulo. Yeah, so I actually came to Oberlin pretty unenthused about taking another college tour. So I was kind of a grumpy pants to start with. And I came to Oberlin and I had an incredible tour. And I just talked, I'm a pretty outgoing person, and I just talked to random people on the street of Oberlin. And the student body has this energy. I don't know if you guys can speak to this too, but there is this energy and passion that I find super contagious and wonderful. And I wanted to surround myself with peers who motivated me and challenged me and really made me think about things in nuanced ways. And I think I've definitely found that at Oberlin.
Yeah, I think I can also speak to this question second. That there's a lot of reasons why I came to Oberlin. I was considering Oberlin, but what really did it for me was I was flown in as part of the multicultural visit program, which is now called Access Oberlin. It's a fly-in program that I was able to participate in, and I was here for a full 3 days. And over that time, I got to meet a lot of really incredibly interested, engaged people. And so, yeah, I mean, more than anything, that it is this sort of culture and atmosphere on campus, which is people care about things here, which matters a whole lot to me. And people are willing to work to make things care about happen in a whole wide variety of ways. So that's a big interest.
I guess my story kind of goes similar to Alyssa's in that college was tacked on at the end of like a long Ohio college tour thing.
Yeah.
And I was a bit of a grumpy pants myself when I got here. Unlike Alyssa, I'm not, I guess, as outgoing, so it took me the next few months until I was accepted and had to decide between Oberlin and a few other places. And I did an emergency visit of all three colleges I was looking at because I had a week to decide. And I did the All Roads Lead to Oberlin program, which is a really cool program that accepts students. And there's a number of like speakers and whatnot. And I felt really welcome here. And I really enjoyed like my interactions with the students. And hands down, this is my favorite place. And so I signed up.
Yes, I think I was going to. Similar to Pablo, I actually did the multiple visit program, which is now called Access Oberlin, 2 years ago. And on the trip, it honestly was staggering. I ran into a lot of awesome people, and ultimately what made me decide to go here is the community here, and like Alyssa said, just like there is a awesome collection of people who are passionate about various and like multiple subjects and issues here and around the world, and I think that's amazing.
For sure. And people that really want to support you in your passions. Like, you don't have to have the same passions, but I feel like my friends are all so happy that I'm passionate about the things that I'm passionate about, and I'm so happy that they're passionate about their passions, and I go and support them, and they go and support me, and it's just one thing that I definitely haven't found at Oberlin is a competitive, in terms of kind of a negative way, competitive atmosphere, and I think people are very self-motivated. Oberlin students are driven and do a lot because they care a lot. And so you don't really need that external competition, and I really like having breathing room to kind of explore things and try. So our next question is, what have been the most surprising things for you about Oberlin so far? Do you want me to go
again? No reason not to.
Okay, let's see. The most surprising things for me. I don't have a good answer yet, so somebody else should go. It's a good question.
I think I could speak to it a little bit. I was warned, and I saw it happen to people older than me, but I was surprised at how involved I got and like how many things I found myself doing. Like I knew I was gonna like do stuff, and I knew that it would be sometimes like a little bit. It would sometimes be a little bit a lot. But I tried to be really intentional about like only doing like the things I really cared about, and then found myself, by like the end of my second year, just like how in the world did I get involved with all these different things? So that was surprising. That really snuck up on me. The degree to which you kind of get pulled into working on a whole wide variety of things.
Kind of going off of that, I was really surprised about what I became passionate about at Oberlin. I came in very certain that I was going to be an English major and go on to be an English professor, and I had my whole life planned out. I'm a planner, so. But I came in and I took a Spanish class because I figured, I might as well try that, and completely fell in love, and now I'm a Latin American Studies major who's interested in policy and development work, so it's just a very different path than what I originally thought. And I'm also really involved in interfaith work, which I kind of thought about before college. So I think that the professors certainly, if you have an incredible professor, they're going to kind of influence you. And that's a wonderful thing. I think that's what a liberal arts education is all about, is being able to explore different things and really kind of learn and grow in different ways than you originally thought.
Yeah, just to jump in on that really quickly, I came in, I just should also probably say that, I came in intending to be a neuroscience and mathematics major. So, there you go.
Yeah, I sort of had like a similar experience in the sense that I wanted to do psych when I came, and I ended up taking just by random chance a politics course with a visiting professor. So this guy's only here for 1 year, and he just really reached out to me a lot and really made me feel like confident in the subject material. And I was really surprised by that like one-on-one relationship that you could have with faculty here. So we went out to lunch at like the student union and talked a lot. He convinced me to do his seminar in the spring, and I'm a politics major now. Who would have thought?
One thing that was very surprising to me, actually, was just the fact that it seems very, very, very simple, but I am learning a lot here. And as much as I know that I came here to learn, I think what surprised me were just like the different perspectives that I started learning about and how that started to influence my thinking and like started to change the way I saw things. And I saw myself as this like very like set on his like ideas type of person, and I'm really surprised just that like how much my thinking has changed since I've gotten here.
For sure. So we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but the next question is, what have your interactions with professors been like, and who has been on your side and supportive of you so far? I, like Erin, have had really wonderful relationships with professors. I'm in a private reading right now with 2 students and a professor, and we are creating curriculum, like language learning curriculum, and I'm going to be her TA next year, so I get to actually teach, which is incredible as an undergraduate to be able to teach in the classroom. And that was something that I just wanted to do, and I talked with her over the summer and was like, hey, I want to learn how to teach things. You should help me. And now I'm doing exactly that. So I found the faculty to be extremely supportive and very helpful in helping you create what you want. So I had this idea, but I had no idea how to do it. And so she said, hey, I'm working on this curriculum. Why don't you help me? And we can bounce ideas off of each other. And now that's what we're doing.
Okay, I'll jump in. Maybe we should just do a rotation. Anyway,
Might be easier.
My interaction with professors have been basically uniformly very positive. A lot of really great support, and also sort of unexpectedly some real mentorship, which is something that like I like, again, people talk about, but has been happening for me in like a very real way, where I've had certain professors, for instance, I'm gonna name drop. I can name drop professors. One of my favorite professors is Professor Gina Perez, and she's a professor in the Comparative American Studies department, and her class, Latinos and Latinas in Comparative Perspectives, a class I took in my second year, is like absolutely the reason that I am a Comparative American Studies major now. That class, and then her personal support. So yeah, I would like, that class was really important for me, really challenging for me, and I had a lot of opportunity to take time outside of class to talk to her, and she was just like so encouraging and so supportive. And yeah, like she's still I still have a really close relationship with her, and I'm actually a writing associate for that same class now this semester, which was a really pretty special thing for me. So that's one, I think, particularly exemplary relationship that I've been able to form with a professor.
So I already kind of mentioned my sort of starting professor here, but honestly, like it's been carried over by like pretty much every single other professor that I've gone to like office hours for. So that's like a really important thing. If you like make the effort to like go talk to them, then you can start like really great relationships. So I love my advisors. But like beyond professors as well, I find that you get support in a lot of places you wouldn't expect it, namely like so you get a lot of like friend support obviously and like support among your clubs. But like one of the people that really support me a lot here is my supervisor at called the Bonner Center for Service and Learning. So I'm a what they call Bonner leader, and my advisor is her name is Tanya Boster, and when I'm swamped, when I have no idea what's going on, I can like come to her and say like Tanya, help me out please. I really don't know like whether I should do this or whatever. And she's always incredibly supportive. So it's not just faculty, it's staff too. It's just people you're going to meet. One of the custodians in the dorm I was an RA in last year was also like just really awesome and like approachable, and you can just talk to like so many people here about various things.
Can I jump in really quickly, just going off of that? Another really awesome resource on campus where they are so supportive and all they want to do is see you succeed is the Career Center. They're so awesome. So I've had so much help from the Career Center. They can help you get internships. They can help you pay for internships. They have lots of different funding opportunities. They can help you with resume support, phone interview prep, regular interview prep. They can help you with fellowships. They are the men and women and people to know. So you guys should definitely, if you end up coming to Oberlin, hit them up. And they're just lovely people. They just want to see you succeed and chat and make your life better.
Definitely speaking with just like non-professor support. Definitely for me, I have found just that I'm also a part of the co-op association here at Oberlin, and that has definitely been an amazing support system for me. Like Pablo sort of mentioned earlier, the co-op system is essentially a space where students come together and, especially for dining, come together and cook their own meals and share that space with each other. And I definitely find myself going back to my co-op and just talking things out with people. And definitely if I'm stressed, I definitely can go to my other co-opers and really just dish out some issues as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also want to echo that. When I was, I lived, cooperative system at Oberlin, there's a lot of different co-ops, but the primary co-ops are part of OSCA, which is the Oberlin Student Cooperative Association, and it's basically a big not-for-profit organization that's run almost entirely by Oberlin students. And it provides at-cost living and dining for its members. And so my second year, I lived and dined in Keep Co-op, and then last year I lived and dined in Tank Co-op, and then this year I live off campus, or I live in a village house and dine in Old Barrows Co-op. And so I've gone to a whole bunch, but I have to say, especially my first year in the cooperative system, living in Keep, like my fellow co-opers, like absolutely became my family. Living in the co-op, you see these people every day. You're mutually responsible for taking care of each other. You're mutually, everyone is like coming to all the decisions about how our housing is structured and like our rules and things for the house were made by consensus by everyone in the house. So like you spend like hours together just like talking through like how you want to live. And so I don't know, you end up really getting to know the people you're living with. So that was a really talk about supportive community. My co-op is my family. And so that's huge if you're looking for a strong support network. So the next question that we have is a question about community engagement beyond like Oberlin College. And so there's a huge number of opportunities available to get involved in the Oberlin community more broadly. Like Alejandro and Aaron, you were the one talking about the Bonner Center. So the Bonner Center for Service and Learning is a really amazing resource on campus. It's a center that coordinates a whole wide variety of service learning opportunities. my work, I work through the Nine Scholars program, which is a college access program for prospective first-generation college students at Oberlin High School and Middle School, Langston Middle School, which is the public middle school in Oberlin, and that's run through the Bonner Center. So that's the primary way that I'm involved outside of Oberlin, but there's a whole huge range of options. I don't know if other people want to talk about that.
Sure. So Oberlin College is Oberlin College is like a really dynamic place, but also like the town of Oberlin is a very dynamic place, and it often gets overlooked in I don't know, the sense that it's just kind of taken for granted this is college town. But there's like so much going on, and there's so many things to do. So like two of my favorite things to do just as a college student, one is I'm a tutor at the Boys and Girls Club of Oberlin, and like my favorite times are like Monday, Friday, 3:30 to 6, head on down there and just like enjoy like working with these kids. My other favorite thing to do is that I'm a line server at a weekday community meals. So those happen in Oberlin, where just people from the local community, you know, want a dinner. They come on in, we give them food and have dinner with them and talk with them. But there's like so many other things you can do. There's tons of like gardening opportunities around here, like millions of tutoring opportunities. Like I'm a third year now, and I've been in I think every single school except for like the youngest, the elementary, or like no, Eastwood Elementary, which is like the K through 2 kids. But there's just like a ton of opportunities. So like whatever you're interested in, there's probably something going on there, and there's so much to learn from just everybody around you.
I can jump in. So I also do a lot of tutoring and a lot of working with kids in general. I work at a youth theater company, which is super wonderful. I get to do improv with little kids. And I also teach SITES, which I mentioned before, which is Spanish in the elementary schools. It's a really unique program for Oberlin. It's only offered here because there was no previous language education in the elementary schools. An Oberlin professor actually started this program where Oberlin college students go into the elementary schools and teach a Spanish class twice a week for 30 minutes each week. It's super fun. We get to do lots of games and songs and all sorts of crazy hand gestures in Spanish. The whole day, the whole class is in Spanish, so it's very much an immersion experience. Like people were already saying as well, there are lots of other opportunities. So we talked a lot about working with kids, but if you don't want to work with kids, there are opportunities to work with elderly people. There are a couple different nursing homes around that you can work at. There are farming opportunities. So George Jones Farm is a really close farm that Oberlin College actually buys a lot of food from. So you can make the food that you're then going to eat, which is also neat. And there are opportunities to work with different faith organizations. I mentioned that I do interfaith work, so I'm actually in charge of compiling all the service opportunities that have to do with different churches in town. So you can be plugged into that as well. And the Bonner Center is a good place to get all of this information if you're interested.
Yeah, and the last thing that I have to say on this topic is that it's so important to get involved with the community beyond the college. When you come to this school, you're moving to the city of Oberlin, and you're a resident here. You live here for at least 4 years, and so I just want to really emphasize that, like, if you come here, you know, find something that feels important to you, or feels useful to you, or feels interesting to you, and use that as a way to engage people who live here. Because yeah, again, we are, you know, for the most part, we are guests here, and so you want to really kind of like do that well and engage thoughtfully with the people that live here. That's all I gotta say about that.
Definitely. So our next question is, what are EXCOs, and have you taken any? Have you taught any? So I've actually taken some and taught one, but I'm sure a lot of us have some stuff like that too. So the experimental college system, or EXCOs, is it's run by a student committee that organizes different students, can be faculty, can be community members, staff, that put together a course, and it counts as like an academic course, although not a full one. And they can teach on like so many different subjects that the college itself might not have an official course dedicated to. So I taught an exco for 2 semesters on grassroots organizing, which was really rewarding to me because I learned so much about the subject as I was teaching it, and what I came out with at the end was just so much better. And it was also like an exercise in like structuring a syllabus and figuring out all that stuff and being accountable to your students or your classmates. But also I've taken the fencing exco, which is a classic one. Learned how to fence, almost joined the team. I took an exco in community and civic engagement, so like on the other spectrum of that, and there's just like a million other opportunities that you can do as well. Pass the torch on to someone else.
Okay, so I have taken a lot of excos. One of my favorite excos that I ever took. Okay, I'm gonna do quick things. One of my favorite excos I ever took was the taiko exco. Taiko is a form of traditional Japanese drumming, and there's a taiko performance group on campus, and so I was. They teach the exco every year, so I got to take that exco and participate in this like really amazing art form that I learned a ton about by taking the course. And then my other one is my other favorite exco that I took was an exco called Co-ops and Cooperation. You might be sensing a theme. And I really love that class. I learned a lot about the cooperative theory, the history of the cooperative movement, in ways to engage in cooperation beyond the college context. And I loved it so much that I ended up teaching it. So I taught it last year, which was really a phenomenal experience. Again, like Aaron was saying, I learned so much more by teaching it, which was really phenomenal. Yeah, and then one of the people that I taught last year is teaching it next semester. So it's a really beautiful cycle that I've been seeing. So hopefully it will stop when y'all get here.
Awesome. I only have taken a handful of excos, but of the ones I've taken, I've definitely enjoyed. I took an expo for Ashtanga yoga, which is a type of like vinyasa yoga that got really popular in the early 1900s, and it was an amazing experience because yoga here is a pretty big thing, and as much as I wanted to take it as it is offered in the college, it sadly got full pretty quickly. And this EXO was an amazing way to just explore a different style of yoga that I actually am still continuing to practice now. And it was just an amazing way to like introduce me to just amazing style of movement. And also there are other excos, such as last semester I actually took a Dungeons and Dragons, which is an awesome role-playing, like in-person game that you play with a group. And I did not know anything about it. I kind of took it on a whim, and I'm completely in love with it. And it was an awesome way just to meet new people of just like-minded interests. And even until now, I started a campaign, which is like what you call like an exploration, like an adventure. I'm sorry, and with some group of kids from that class, and it's an awesome way to do that. So I'm going to introduce the next question. What kind of experiences have you had for your winter terms, and how did you set it up? I guess I can start. I've only done one winter term so far, but I interned at a nonprofit organization in New York City that helps admit students from low income and minority backgrounds into private and independent schools. And how do I set that up? It was I reached out to the organization as well as in my process of choosing what to do, actually went to the Career Center just to see what different options were available. I ended up finding this one myself, but the Career Center was definitely an awesome help because I did not know what to do. And to set it up, you basically have to have a sponsor your project, and so I met with my advisor who was also interested in that kind of thing, and talked to her about like what my project is and like what I intend on doing and like how that's going to affect me. So yeah, that was my only winter term project.
I can talk about my favorite one, so I don't go over all of mine. But my favorite winter term project was my sophomore year. I saw this really incredible speaker who was a former OB, an OB alum, come to the campus. He gave a presentation on education. He's the education director for the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting. So that's an organization in Washington, D.C., and they connect Pulitzer-winning journalists with classrooms. So they have them come in and talk about what they were doing. He gave an incredible presentation, and I was like, I want to work with this person. So I asked him if I could get coffee with him, because that's the kind of person I am. And we got coffee, and I said, hey, do you need an intern? And he said, yeah, actually I do. And I got an internship with the Pulitzer Center over winter term. So sometimes you just have to be aggressive and just go for it. The professor also helped. He kind of set up the meeting, so it was helpful. They can be really good intermediaries as well.
Yeah, I can run through the winter term projects that I've done really quickly because I've kind of done a variety. So my first year, I'm from the Philadelphia area originally, and my first year I went back home and worked as an apprentice to a theatrical lighting designer, and that was a project I was able to do because of connections that I had from high school, doing lighting design in high school. I had done a little bit of apprenticing with him then, so I was able to continue that over a winter term. And then what next? Oh, and then the second year I stayed on campus and got started with the 9 Scholars program, which was again how I got involved with that program, which is fantastic. Again, I still work with the program. And then last year and that was the Bonner Center for Service and Learning. And then last year, I actually traveled to Costa Rica and was working, doing trail work for a small environmental school in the mountains in Costa Rica near Monteverde. And that was through the way office here at Oberlin. That was through so that was through the Office of Winter Term and the Office of Study Away. They were both really helpful, and that's a group project, so I just joined in on that project. And that was one of the most incredible winter terms. After a winter term here in Oberlin, which was phenomenal, but very cold, spending a winter term near the equator was also really nice.
So I've done 2 winter terms. Mine, my first one was in Oberlin, my second one was in Detroit, so I kind of went from cold to colder. On Lake Pablo, but my first year I wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to do. I didn't really know if there was like a group project or like a solo thing that really appealed to me that I could think of. So I found a really cool group project at the local service agency, Oberlin Community Services, and I became a tutor there through the American Accounts program. And I've been a tutor with them ever since, and it's probably like one of my longest running things that I've been doing at Oberlin that's been consistent. And it was just a really great time to like learn just so much about the community and about how to tutor. And it was more than tutoring because we would also work in the food pantry, like during food distributions. We did a number of other projects around And it was just like overall an awesome experience. And then my second year, I jumped on another group project to Detroit to work on community sustainability. And we worked primarily with a lady called Auntie Nay, and helping her sort of community engagement project get off or continue and get off the ground. We did a lot of like home repair, and it was just an incredible experience to like learn so much.
Cool. So our next question is okay, how accessible are research opportunities? Who does research? When can you start? So I'm a humanities person, and I'm currently doing research. So research is not just for the math and sciences. I actually did research this past summer, and I got a scholarship through the Career Center. We just keep on hitting up the Career Center, but it's a really great place. Yeah, so I actually got $5,000 to do research this summer, which was really incredible. And I got to go to Nicaragua and work at an economic institute there. And I was actually doing research for what will be, hopefully, a UN report on resource mobilization in developing nations. So that was a really cool hands-on, on-the-ground experience. And now I'm doing honors research that actually is also in Nicaragua, and I hope to go back there over winter term. So your research can start as soon as you want, and you don't have to be in the math and sciences to do it. Your professors can help you out. You can get funding if you apply to a bunch of different grants through the college or outside the college, and sometimes. And there are a lot of opportunities to do it both in Oberlin and away from Oberlin.
Yeah, I can echo that. My experience has been really pretty similar. I'm currently comparative American Studies, social science, so I'm involved in social sciences research. I'm also pursuing honors and writing an honors thesis, and for that I'm doing research about community engaged art and art for social change, and using an artist who's based in Oakland as my primary case study. And so I've been flying out to Oakland. I've gone in the past, and I'm going again for a few weeks over winter term, and also, applying for and getting some funding from the college to help do that. So that's another way you can do it.
Yeah, I guess my only thing to add is that I haven't really done much research in the college right now. I did some research over that winter term for Oberlin Community Services, and that was really rewarding. But right now I'm looking to do honors. I'm sort of writing a proposal for that for one of my seminars this semester, and that'll be centered in Oberlin, actually, on like political psychology in Oberlin. The city of Oberlin. And so I'm looking forward to doing research here, although I have not done much.
All right, I suppose we can move on to the next question. I also want to say we all talked about kind of humanities or social sciences research, but research is also for the math and natural sciences. There's probably a bit more of that going on, to be honest. And there's lots and lots of research out there. You can talk about it.
I was just going to jump in and say my housemate, who just walked through the door a little while ago, is pre-med, and she did research this past summer. She was working in a lab, and she actually already has job security, and that she got offered a job from this lab. There are also opportunities to work with professors and be published when you graduate, which is incredible if you think about it as an undergrad, to be able to be published in the sciences as well as the humanities. So yeah, we are all talking from a humanities perspective, but there are tons of opportunities to do science and math and computer science and all sorts of different research.
Great. Okay, so the next question that we have is, what is one or more underutilized or secret awesome thing learned here at Oberlin? Things we wish more people knew about. Obviously, I have to say the book co-op. It's not secret as much anymore. It was secret last year, but we're working on getting it less and less secret. Book co-op is really, really great. I'm not just saying that, but it's a way to get free textbooks. It's basically you trade in your old textbooks, cooperatively decide the value of the book based on its whether it's a required book for a class, the condition is the market value of the book, and then you're able to kind of like exchange books without losing any value, because basically when you sell back a textbook, you lose a lot of money on it. So it's a way of kind of keeping the money you've invested in your textbooks, getting your textbooks cheaper. Really, really cool, underutilized for sure. Definitely something to keep on your radar. Yeah, that's my big one. That's what I'll start with.
I think something that comes to mind for me is, and this probably shouldn't be a thing, but the writing center as something that's really underutilized, and a lot of people don't actually like remember it. Like we always talk about it on our tours, but people don't actually remember when they get to Oberlin. So we have a writing center, which I believe probably you mentioned it earlier as your writing associate, right? But we students work there. You can bring your papers in. Doesn't matter if you're like thinking a week ahead or more conventionally, at least for me, like the night before. You just need to figure something out. You bring in your paper. They not only critique it based on grammar, but they also go for the like argument that you're presenting. So I had like a big constitutional law paper. Actually, I had like 3 last semester that I would just like continually bring into the writing center, and ended up working with the same person because they were all doing the same day, and I was doing them all the night before, finishing them up. And so this person got really familiar with me and my writing style, and it was just so incredibly helpful, and I did so much better on those papers than I would have normally, because it's really great to like be able to like read that paper out loud to somebody. You catch your own mistakes, and they catch your other mistakes, and you make sure that it sounds good to somebody else, not just in your own head.
Going off of that, they also occasionally have language majors in there. So I have had tons of help on Spanish papers from Hispanic Studies majors, which is another really awesome resource that people don't really know about. And transitioning into other Spanish thing that people should know about, not just Spanish, but the language lab is super cool. It is upstairs in Peters, which is the language building, the one that looks kind of like Hogwarts if you've come to Oberlin. And it's this really awesome lab that is a computer lab, but it's not a quiet, silent lab. There are birds that fly around. There's a fish tank. There are hammocks. There's music playing. It's just a really awesome atmosphere that engages your mind and allows you to kind of lose some of the filter that sometimes it's really hard to write and to speak in another language. And so kind of all that ambient noise really helps you get into the zone. So I really like that.
So our next question is, Oberlin's a small town. How did you adjust? What do you do on the weekends? So I'm not necessarily from a small town, but there's not really a lot of like town feeling there. You know, it's like kind of dispersed and quiet. So like coming to Oberlin was actually like really huge for me because, you know, it's a small downtown, like geographically, but there's just so much to do. There's so much to do on campus, off campus. There are performances, you know, probably going on every single day, or at least there's more performances than there are days of the year. So generally that means there's something going on every single day. And so like I find there's a lot of room to just go to these things, see really cool things. There's an Oberlin Orchestra who's performing on Saturday that a lot of my friends are in, so I'm going to go see them. But also just, I don't know, like there's a lot of room to just like hang out with your friends, go visit. One of my favorite things to do is to go to the Oberlin Arboretum or like nature preserve and just kind of like walk around and hang out with friends. So that, like depending on your personality, like you might prefer like a lot of events or you might prefer just like relaxation, but you're not going to be bored here.
I can definitely speak to kind of adjusting to the size of Oberlin. I am coming from New York City, which is a pretty large metropolitan area. Um, and it definitely is a definitely is a big change. Just like population-wise, there are a lot less people. There are no subways, and it definitely just is a a change. But I think it's like very well welcomed with a lot of pluses, such that you do have the chance to like build a community with like the number of people around you. Um, Fresh air, um, and other stuff like that. On weekends, it usually and also stars. Um, but on weekends, there what I usually do kind of just consists of like a mix of like what Erin said. There are a lot of performances that usually happens. I know that this weekend, two of our improv troops are performing, and I have a couple of friends that are in there, so I'm definitely going to check that out. Um, Also, on Sundays, every Sunday throughout the year, the dance department holds a contact jam, which is basically a space in which contact improv, which is a style of dance that is based on like just physical contact with people and just understanding how people move and how you move in relationships in relation to other people. And I definitely enjoy doing that every week. We can also include some studying. Uh, Sadly, no, not sadly. Definitely do check out Mud sometimes, and Mud is our library here, and definitely like study a bit. So yeah, that's basically what I do on weekends.
Yeah, I mean, I think because Oberlin is in a small town, they really work hard to foster kind of a big town feel on campus. There's so much going on. Honestly, I think it would be way overwhelming if we were also in a big town with Oberlin, just because there's so much going on campus all the time. So yeah, there are tons of different performances, lots of different concerts that are happening. We have a movie theater that plays really cheap new movies, so that's fun. There are lots of different shows going on. And you can also just hang out with your friend. I liked what Erin said. Erin, you said that walking around the Arb, right? Because that's awesome. There are bonfires out there, and it's a good way to kind of hang out with friends as well. There's also an observatory, which happens to be in the language building, which is strange that it's in the language building. But it's really beautiful. So Alejandro was saying that there are stars here, which is very true. And it's a great way to see those stars. They have astronomy professors oftentimes. I think it's once a month they have astronomy professors that can kind of show you what's going on. So lots of things to do.
Yeah, I can echo what everyone's been saying. The world really comes to Oberlin. There's like a ton of stuff going on here all the time, both kind of like local talent being showcased, and then like lots of people, are attracted to Oberlin, maybe in much the same way you are. And so that's very cool. Yeah, never have I had a weekend since I've been here or any time where I'm like, shoot, there's nothing to do. It's always more of a case of like, which of the things am I not going to do? And like, when am I going to be able to convince myself that it's okay for me to just like go to bed at 11 o'clock on a Friday? And you have to do that sometimes. So that's definitely more of the challenge. The challenge is not, is there going to be something to do? And then there's a lot. Really vibrant student culture. Lots of like really, it's like a very I really enjoy the social atmosphere here. So it's like really easy to like make friends and like hang out at people's rooms or like hang out at people's houses, which is the best way to hang out with people, and things like that.
Yeah, so I think we can move on to our next question, which is how easy is it to get involved in music if you're not in the conservatory? Um, and I could start off, but definitely all input is welcome. Um, I definitely say it's completely easy to get into music. There is at least in my opinion, music like all around us, like all the time. Be it grabbing your banjo with friends and playing, or be it the arts and sciences orchestra, which we do have, and they do perform pretty regularly. Yeah, please start that.
Yeah, I mean, there are tons of different ensembles that combine both conservatory students and college students. There are tons of ensembles that are solely arts and sciences students, or there are a couple that are solely conservatory students. All of the practice rooms are open to college students, which is great. It's not a sign-up thing. It's just first come, first serve, and there are always practice rooms available. So you always have spaces to practice your instruments. There are tons and tons of student bands on campus because Oberlin students oftentimes are attracted to this place because of music. Even if you don't want to be at the conservatory, you like listening to music, you like playing music oftentimes. So because of that, there's tons and tons of music around us that's really high quality, I think.
Yeah. So a couple things to say. One thing to build off of that, one of the big sources of entertainment for me is to see bands. So like in addition to all the kind of like institutional ways to get involved with music, which with like official ensembles and things like that, what I say, which I think is just like totally true, if there's like a type of music that you want to make, I guarantee you'll be able to find somebody else on this campus who like wants to make it with you. Two of my friends are in like an abstract noise band where one of them wears a dog mask and repurposed headphones as a microphone taped to their mouth. And like they play music together. They found each other and can make that music. There's also like a lot of bands and like rock bands and like a lot of like spoken word and rap and like hip hop performance DJing, like all sorts of tons of stuff. Yeah, folk is so basically the musical expression you're into, you'll find other people who are also into it and opportunities to like do it and perform it. So that's huge. The other thing talking about institutional stuff is secondary lessons. So if you are in the college, you can take secondary lessons in the conservatory, and these are basically like private lessons, most often with conservatory students, like upper level conservatory students who have been like tagged by their professors as being, particularly good for teaching. And so if you're playing, you're like looking to learn maybe a beginner or intermediate level, you pay $8 per half-hour lesson to take lessons with the students. And that's like, if you know music lessons, that's like ridiculous, like very, very reasonable. And it's they're really good lessons. A lot of these people are like very, very good teachers. And they're all incredibly talented at their instrument. And then if you're playing or performing, because we include vocal performance, if you're playing or performing at a really high level, you can audition for secondary lessons for credit. And those are, for no additional cost, and you get college credit for them. So that's another great opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess music's like really a connector here at Oberlin. So like you have like interpersonally, like on a small level, you can have like the secondary lessons, which I took jazz guitar in my first semester here, and I still remember the stuff that I learned there. It was really helpful. And also like you just have friends that are like in music groups. You have friends that are in the conservatory. Like half of my like closest friends are in the conservatory, and I learned so much musically from them. We also have like bigger events, like performances that come, like speakers that come that talk, like that perform music there. And also one of my favorite things is Folk Fest, which is something that I helped organize the last 2 years. And it's where the Oberlin College Folk Music Club puts on just this big festival for 2 days at the very end of the year. Hands down my favorite weekend of Oberlin my first year, and I really loved Oberlin my first year, but I was just really relaxed, just got to listen to this awesome folk music, and just from all these artists that I've never heard of, and still listen to a lot of that music nowadays. So that's one of the best things for me, at least, to check out is Folk Fest.
So our final thought for the day is going to be, what do you wish you could tell your applying to college first year selves? Which is a great question. Um, I would tell myself to not be um, not be so uptight, I guess, in one way. I had this vision. I had like tunnel vision. I was just like, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is why I need to do it, and this is the way it's gonna happen. And I think Oberlin has relaxed me a lot, which has been really good. But also allowed me to understand that I didn't have all the answers, and in fact, now I have zero answers and tons of questions, which I think is what your college education is all about. But I would tell myself to be open to.
Oh, oh, perhaps we won't find out what she'd be open to. Um, hopefully, Alyssa will come back to us. Um, I suppose in the meantime, I can provide an answer. Oh, is she? No. Okay. In the meantime, I guess I'll provide an answer to this question as well. But hopefully she'll come back because I'm left with a cliffhanger. I want to know what she would be open to. Um,
Me too.
my big piece of advice to myself would probably be sort of similar to the direction that Alyssa was taking it, which would be really just to not worry so much about, you know, doing what I should do, and to think more about what really speaks to me and what I really care about, and thinking about kind of directing my energy to doing to doing what I really care about. It took me a while to really allow myself to focus in on my passions. I came in with an idea about like what exactly like Alyssa. I came with an idea about like what was useful or what my purpose here was, and I really would have encouraged myself to really like take a step back and reflect internally about why I really wanted to come here, what I wanted to get out of it, and again exactly to not worry so much about what I should do, and focus on what I want to do and what feels right and important to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything that's been said just now. I'd also like to add sort of like to the applying to college self. If I could have gone back, I would not have applied to 11 schools like I did. It was too much for me, and I know in retrospect that like some of them I just wasn't really interested in going to, but I was still like stressing out about like, like what if this works out, what if this doesn't work out, and it just wasn't helpful. Like for me, like I think I would have been happy wherever I like ended up, but I'm just really glad that it happened to be Oberlin. And then I guess to echo sort of what's been said, I wouldn't have locked myself into my major really fast. So I declared psychology like pretty early on in my Oberlin career, and then I realized like, hey, there's only like a certain portion of psychology that I'm really interested in, and I managed to find that through studying law and politics actually. But I had to like sort of deal with all that. So you don't have to declare until the end of your spring semester of your sophomore year. It's okay to like take that time. It's good to take that time and wait until that point, until you like declare a major, because really you take the classes that you're interested in. The major usually forms around them.
Yeah. So just to really continue with what has been said, to my applying self, I think that I would have told myself to kind of just relax a bit. I was definitely very just very focused on just applying places and to like really appreciate like what my experiences were, especially when I was touring. I was I was focused on, I think, personally, like kind of the wrong things. So like I couldn't really get a feel of like how I was like experiencing the campuses that I looked at. And then some advice to my first year self would definitely be to kind of, I think it's, I don't know, kind of a theme, but like I probably give myself the advice of just kind of like going with the flow and really just like kind of seeing, like reevaluating like what I believe in, and like reevaluating what I thought was to be true, and to just like see what my experience so far will take me, like would have taken me, and that's definitely something I'm trying out now, this being my second year here, and definitely it would be advice that I would have given myself last year, because I think that I'm definitely appreciating this campus a lot more, just being able to go with the flow.
So I disappeared for a second because of technological issues, but I'm back. And I would just, like what I was saying was generally just to be more open-minded to having experiences happen and going with those experiences, and letting new passions emerge, because that's what college is all about. It's all about growing, and you can't grow if you're too focused in on what you want. So let that focus expand and broaden.
Cool. You all, we reached 10:30. I can't believe it's 10:30. This is like the fastest hour I've experienced in the last 2 weeks, and it's been a very full week. Thank you so much, all of you lovely Oberlin folks who are here joining us today. Thank you to everyone who is watching at home. I hope this was useful to you, and if you have any lingering questions, guess what? We have one final panel. It is going to be December 9th at this same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We love your questions. We are really excited to answer them. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you sometime soon.